More than 50 years after humanity last touched the moon, we're going back, but this is not a victory lap. The Artemis II mission is, by its very design, a far riskier proposition than the Apollo 11 flight that first took us there. The rocket is bigger and more powerful. The mission is longer, pushing the crew and their capsule further into the unforgiving void of deep space. The margins for error are tighter than ever before. Tonight, we are peeling back the layers of engineering procedure and brutal physics to reveal why this crude lunar flyby is, on paper, one of the most dangerous missions NASA has ever attempted. We'll explore the calculated gambles, the known unknowns, and the immense trust placed in a new generation of technology. We'll also examine why NASA, after weighing every single one of these amplified risks, believes the reward is worth it. So buckle in, the journey to the moon is about to get real. The first and most violent hurdle is the launch itself. Apollo 11 was carried to orbit by the legendary Saturn V. Its 5 colossal F-1 engines were a known quantity, having been proven across 6 prior crewed missions in the Apollo program. By the time Neil Armstrong's crew strapped in, the Saturn V had a track record. It was a beast, but a familiar one. Artemis II, by contrast, will ride the Space Launch System, or SLS. This is the most powerful rocket ever built, but it's also making its crewed debut. Its core stage is powered by 4 RS-25 engines, the same model that powered the Space Shuttle. While these engines are flight-proven, they've never flown in this configuration. Strapped between 2 massive, solid rocket boosters derived from the same shuttle program, this entire integrated system has only flown once before, uncrewed, on Artemis IV. Every first-time crewed flight is a step into the unknown, a moment where terabytes of ground test data meet the unsimulatable reality of launch. The raw power is staggering, but the critical factor is reliability maturity. The Saturn V's reliability was forged in the crucible of the space race, with multiple crewed flights building confidence. The SLS is still at the very beginning of that journey. While both vehicles have sophisticated launch abort systems designed to pull the crew capsule to safety in an emergency, the triggers and failure modes of a brand new rocket stack introduce variables that can't be fully retired on a simulator. The risk calculus is fundamentally different when your vehicle's first human passengers are also its test pilots. Now let's move from the raw power of the launch to the intricate brain of the mission. Inside the Orion capsule, the leap in technology from Apollo is breathtaking, but this is a double-edged sword. The Apollo command module was a marvel of analog engineering, defined by switches, dials, and gauges. Its complexity was manageable, its systems relatively isolated. Orion, on the other hand, is a digital powerhouse. Its glass cockpit is run by layers of sophisticated flight software, redundant avionics, and fault-tolerant data networks that would be unrecognizable to an Apollo-era engineer. This complexity grants incredible capability, automating tasks, providing deeper system insight, and enabling more precise control. But it also exponentially multiplies the number of potential failure paths. A single software bug or an unforeseen interaction between subsystems could cascade in ways that are incredibly difficult to predict and diagnose, a risk that must be meticulously trapped and mitigated in millions of lines of code. And this digital complexity must keep the crew alive. Life support represents another frontier of risk. The Artemis II mission is planned for roughly 10 days, significantly longer than Apollo 11's 8-day trip. This extended duration places an unprecedented strain on Orion's Environmental Control and Life Support System, or ECLSS. This is the machinery that scrubs carbon dioxide, controls humidity, filters the water, and maintains a breathable atmosphere. While the system was tested on the uncrewed Artemis I flight, this will be its first long-duration shakedown with a human crew generating heat, moisture, and CO2. A failure in a pump, a clog in a filter, or an unexpected chemical reaction over 10 days in deep space is a far greater concern than on a shorter, simpler flight profile. Beyond the capsule walls, the environment itself becomes more hostile. Radiation turns the dial on danger. Once Orion leaves the protective bubble of Earth's magnetic field, the crew will be exposed to the full, unshielded fury of the deep space environment. They will spend more time beyond the Van Allen belts than any Apollo crew since 1972. This means constant bombardment from high-energy galactic cosmic rays, and the ever-present threat of a sudden violent solar particle event. A solar flare aimed in their direction. While the crew will wear dosimeters to monitor their exposure and have procedures to create a safe haven, using the capsule's own mass for shielding, space weather is notoriously unpredictable. A powerful, unexpected solar storm could deliver a dangerous, or even lethal, dose of radiation in a matter of hours. This hazardous journey requires a path of near-perfect precision. The mission flies a free return trajectory, a carefully calculated loop around the far side of the moon that uses lunar gravity to sling the capsule back toward Earth without needing a major engine burn. But the return journey is where the risk intensifies dramatically. To survive re-entry, Orion must thread an incredibly narrow skip-entry corridor in Earth's upper atmosphere. If they come in too steep, the capsule will experience crushing G-forces and burn up. If they come in too shallow, they will literally skip off the atmosphere and be flung back into space with no way to return. This corridor is a tightrope walk at 25,000 miles per hour. Protecting the crew during this fiery return is Orion's heat shield, a material called avcoat. This ablative shield is designed to char and burn away, carrying the intense heat of re-entry with it. While it performed flawlessly on the uncrewed Artemis I, its behavior under the specific thermal loads and stresses of a crewed lunar return is still under intense scrutiny. The skip-entry maneuver is designed to reduce the peak heating by spreading it out over a longer duration, but this creates its own challenge. It demands flawless performance from the guidance computers while the capsule is enveloped in a sheath of incandescent plasma, cutting off communications with the ground. This brings us to the invisible systems holding it all together. Communications and software are both the safety net and a source of risk. The flight around the far side of the moon guarantees a communications blackout, a planned period of isolation, but the real test is the software's robustness. Orion's autonomy systems, its complex fault detection trees, and the ability for mission control to send real-time patches must all function perfectly under the extreme conditions of space, latency from the vast distances, thermal extremes, and the noisy, sometimes corrupted telemetry data that can result from radiation. A software failure during a critical maneuver is one of the mission's most insidious threats. And finally, a danger that didn't exist in the Apollo era: orbital debris. The region of low Earth orbit is now a cosmic junkyard, littered with tens of thousands of pieces of space junk, from spent rocket stages to tiny fragments of old satellites. Both on its way out and on its way back in, Orion must navigate this increasingly crowded environment. Ground-based radar tracks the largest threats, allowing controllers to plot a safe corridor. But a collision with an untracked piece of debris, even one the size of a marble, could be catastrophic at orbital velocities. A late notice avoidance maneuver would burn precious propellant, eating into the mission's safety margins. The final gauntlet is the return to Earth, a high-speed re-entry, the precise deployment of a complex multi-stage parachute system, and a gentle splashdown in the Pacific Ocean. Every step is critical. The ocean state, surface winds, and the readiness of the naval recovery teams all play a role in the final outcome. Apollo's simpler ballistic re-entry was a brute force solution. Artemis II's guided skip entry trades raw heat for pinpoint precision, but in doing so, it leaves far less room for the capsule to drift off course, demanding a perfect performance from every system right up to the final moment. So, is Artemis II truly deadlier? The risk envelope is undeniably wider and more complex than Apollo 11's. It involves the first crewed flight of a new super-heavy rocket, longer exposure to deep space radiation, a razor-thin re-entry corridor, a denser field of orbital debris, and a vastly more complex spacecraft where software is as critical as hardware. But this is a managed risk, not a reckless one. It is built on the foundation of the uncrewed Artemis I test flight, conservative hardware margins, carefully planned trajectories, and layered abort modes for every phase of flight. It is backed by a culture that relentlessly plans for failure. Artemis II is the necessary hazardous first step toward establishing a sustainable human presence on the moon. The risk is understood, it is mitigated, but as with any great leap into the unknown, it can never be zero.